Hi, Chef Reddy with you once again. Today we're going to explore the technique of grilling. And the one thing that good grilled items always has is hatch marks. So we're going to teach you how to do that. And I want you to also understand that the grill normally is taking care of some of the most expensive food items in the house, in the restaurant, or whatever. You know, I mean, because in my restaurant, I grilled really expensive cuts of meats, of pork, of course, steaks and whatnot, but also of fish. We would grill lobsters, big shrimp. So these are high cost items. You always want to have somebody on the grill that really knows what they're doing. The person that did my grill station also was in charge of portioning everything out. So it was good that the weights were right, you know. If I say that I'm cooking, offering people a 16-ounce steak, it has to be at least 16 ounces, no more than 18 ounces. I'd like it between 16 and 17 ounces, all right, because they're paying for 16 ounces, okay? At any rate, this is a great little item, and I know a lot of people, whether they're doing fish or sometimes meats too, they do a lot of fancy marinades and stuff like that. Why mask the taste of something that's good inherently? You don't want to do that, all right? Whether it's fish, any kind of seafood, this is how I grill, all right? So I'm going to add a little salt. Add a little pepper. Add a little granulated garlic. Add some picked thyme. Add a little olive oil. This is not extra virgin olive oil. This is just regular pomace oil or regular olive oil. Good olive oil you never want to cook with. You want to those are finishing oils, you know. A real expensive extra virgin olive oil, you know, it's, first of all, it's very expensive, and you want to use that sparingly, and it's not meant to be cooked with. Good olive oil of 2.4, 2.6% acidic is stuff you put on salads. It's stuff that you maybe finish a pizza with, or maybe finish a nice piece of meat with, you know. So again, we're going to do the other sides of it. Why? Because we eat the other side. No fancy schmancy marinades, especially on grilled fish or something like that. People use, I don't know why, they like to use Italian dressing. That makes me crazy. Why would you want to do that and let it sit there? Well, it's got a lot of acid in it. You want to start. Why do you want to start cooking the fish before you cook the fish? Because that's what acids will do, right? It will do to a protein. So we'll go ahead and just turn these over, and these are little porterhouse pork chops, okay? You get a bit of the loin, you get a bit of the tenderloin, yum yum. Who's not happy? Okay, the next thing we need to do is you take a grill brush. This has been heating up for a while, so you really want to after you do that, you want to take a couple of pieces of paper towel, put a little oil. You want to oil the grates. Now, to get the proper hatch marks, you have to put your meat on it at a certain attitude. Not that he's got a pissy attitude or anything. No, an attitude meaning if this is the top of the chop, I want to put it on the grill. I want that line to be at a 45-degree angle to the up and down grills. Okay, so I'm going to do it like this, and like this. This is going to take a few minutes. How long? I don't know, maybe 2 minutes before I turn it or so. One day at my restaurant, I fired my grill man. That's a long story in itself. And I got through lunch without him. It wasn't easy, but we did. And around 1:30, just as I was leaving to go have a bit of a rest before evening service, this guy walks into the back door. His name was Bill. He introduced himself to me. He says he had been working offshore on these Gulf of Mexico platforms, you know, in the middle of the Gulf as a cook there, and he had enough of it. You know, it was, when you work on those platforms, you're on sometimes as long as 28 days, and then you come back for a week or maybe 2 weeks, and then go back out for 28 days. In essence, you never leave work. So he said he was getting tired of that, and he wanted to get a job on shore. And I said, well, what is your forte? He says, I'm great on the grill. Just so happens that I fired my grill man this morning. I said, when can you start? He said, I can start today. I said, good, come back at 4 o'clock. And he did. And I gave him some steaks to cut. I told him what I wanted, did them no problem, did them perfectly. And every steak that was, or whatever else that was on the grill tonight came, nobody said it back. So I said, Bill, you did a great job. And he was a remarkable guy, very soft-spoken, didn't say very much. If there was only anything bad I could say about him, is that he was always losing his towels and his tongs. Like most restaurants have a thing like this, a grill, whatnot, and maybe a sink. Well, they have this right next to it, right? So you put the tongs. Well, I didn't have that. I had an old South bin, and there was a cup that you opened the thing with, the oven with. So he's always losing tongs. So what is he doing? And he was also in charge. Right next to the grill was a griddle and a broiler underneath the griddle. And we do broiled dishes in these plates, these cast iron plates. Couldn't find his towel. Put it up on the line. Use bare hands. So I'm telling you, the first eighth of an inch of his skin on his right hand was so callous that he never even felt pain anymore. All right. So coming there. So we're going to turn these. Make the first turn. Oh, look at that. That's a thing to behold, isn't it? And that same attitude, huh? That 45-degree attitude. So, so he was a great guy. He really did. He was a terrific guy. He was an animal on the grill. And he had been working for me for about 6 months or so. Maybe not quite that long. And one day I saw him cutting tenderloin of beef, very expensive, and his hands were shaking. You know, that's expensive product he's getting ready to cut into, and I just looked at him, and I had a notion about something. And so I went to the bar. I got a tall glass, filled it with ice, and I poured something into it, vodka, about 3 or 4 fingers of vodka in that glass. And I came into the kitchen and I put it on his stage. I said, "Here, Bill, you look a little thirsty." He drank it, just that one drink, and he was a functioning alcoholic. He was never late. I never saw him drunk. He never came to work drunk. Sometimes I take my whole crew to a local watering hole down the street to have raw oysters and beer. And I'd pick up the whole tab. We had to have an extra good night to do that. And he'd drink his 2 beers and go home. You know, and he was a great guy. He was a functioning alcoholic. He walks in one day and says, "Hey, Chief, I got to give you 2 weeks' notice." I said, "Why?" He says, "Well," he says, "I didn't tell you," he says, "but I have a 14-year-old son in Ohio, and I think it's time I be a part of his life." So he left. I said, "Well, if you need any references, just let me know and stay in touch." He never did. I often wonder what he's doing now. Hey, people come and go in a restaurant, you know. So anyway, but boy, was he a great grill guy, you know. Another thing that we used to grill at my restaurant was a thing called Cajun prime rib. This is an interesting dish. We would take a 109 beef rib. 109, that's the number in the meat buyer's guide. And that particular item comes up. So we go to the opposite attitude. It was like this before, now it's like this, all right? Um, 109 beef rib is about 18 to 22 pound average, and it came cryovac, and then it had this elastic netting, and you take the netting off, cryovac and the netting off, rinse it off, and then the fat cap was sliced off but put back on. So I'd peel the fat cap back, take a boning knife, and I would stab that bad boy 80, 100 times. We would put a complete layer of salt so you couldn't see the meat, a complete layer of black pepper so you couldn't see the salt, a complete layer of granulated garlic so you couldn't see the black pepper, and then finally thin slices of red onion went on top. The fat cap went back on, and we put it in the refrigerator overnight. Day 2, we take it out and we throw it in a 500. Well, my ovens went up to 550, so put it in a 550 degree oven. You know why at 550? Because I couldn't get them to 600. Anyway, 550, and then just for about a half hour to 40 minutes. That's all. What would happen in that short amount of time is that the fat cap would start to melt and start to drive into those holes in the rib that I had made, in the meat, in the muscle part, and bring those seasonings with it, right? And so I'd let it set outside. At room temperature for about, I don't know, an hour or so, and then we put it back in the refrigerator overnight. Day 3, we take them out and we take the fat cap, we throw it away. We take all those seasonings, we throw that away. Just scrape it off with the back of a French knife. And I took it to a bandsaw and cut them to 18-ounce steaks. And then we had a secondary seasoning of salt, red, white, black pepper. And you use 3 peppers. It affects every area of the mouth, huh? Because each pepper affects different areas of the mouth. And then and a little brown mustard and some fennel seed. And we'd lightly, and salt, I think I meant salt. And then we'd lightly dust it, and then we'd grill it to order. Because it was still very raw, all right? That's possibly one of the best pieces of beef I've ever eaten. So that was very popular too. Okay, let's do this. This is where we see the crosshatch markings, huh? Woohoo! Look at that. Beautiful cross hatches. Same here. If I was doing a steak, the steak that I like to grill the most for me and my wife, it's just my wife and I now at the house, I'd buy a porterhouse, right? A porterhouse is towards the big end of the T-bone, right? And I'd get at least 1.5 inches thick. And to a hot grill, I would do 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, and let it rest for about 5 minutes. And then I'd give my wife the tenderloin on one side of the bone, and I'd get the sirloin strip, which is my favorite cut anyway. And Bernie, the Wonder Dog, would get the bone, because it was still somewhat raw, and he loved it, let me tell you. But that's called an 8-minute steak. So if you have a steak that is a inch and a half, inch and a quarter or so, maybe an inch and a half, I would go maybe, I'd make it a 10-minute steak some kind of way instead of 8 minutes. But anyway, that produces a perfectly medium rare piece of beef. Now, I eat raw beef. I ain't got a problem eating rare meat, but it's my opinion. And we all know what opinions are, right? I mean, everybody's got one. It's my opinion that the best way to eat a grilled steak is at medium rare, because I know some people like black and blue steaks. Black means charred on the outside and very almost blue, raw on the inside. Still got a little chill to it on the interior of the meat. That's not my favorite steak. I want my steak to be medium rare, where you have to coagulate the proteins a little bit. You have to cook the proteins a little bit to bring flavor. All right. So to me, the most moist, the most flavorful steak is a medium rare steak. All right. I know I'm not going to change people that eat rare steaks. I understand that, but I mean, I've eaten them rare and I've eaten them medium rare, and to me, medium rare means more flavor. All right. So we're just about done here. Now, if it were me, I would also, for this, maybe make a compound butter. What's a compound butter? In a mixer, with a paddle attachment, I put a pound of butter in there, and I always use unsalted butter. Add a pound of butter to that with some minced shallots, maybe some thyme, some chives, some parsley, and then get it onto a flat piece of film wrap, and do 1, 2, 3, roll it up, roll the inside. It looks like a big sausage, refrigerate it, and then you can start cutting pieces to put in. That's a compound butter. It really brings flavor. So here you go, grilled pork chops. And although we're doing pork chops in it, you do the same technique, all right, to anything you're going to grill, to bring hatch marks, whether it's fish, whatever, all right, or other steaks or whatever. That's how you do hatch marks, and that's how you properly grill, okay? So I'll see you in class, and if you have any more questions about this, I'll be able to field them then. Until then, take care. I'll see you later.